The environment is hurting. Our earth is suffering. And future generations will suffer as a result. People today suffer as a result. We focus on individual sin in the church, but we also need to focus on collective sin.
We do a great deal of harm to future generations. I look at my grandchildren, I look at the problems that they have, you know. I mean, there's pollution everywhere.
Our current food system is a myth. If we had a major breakdown in transportation or borders today, we could only feed ourselves as a nation for 2 to 3 weeks.
We're looking at the possibility of ecocide. Well, is there anything more urgent? I don't think so.
Anybody who's got a faith relationship with God and with creation has to speak to those issues. Those are the moral issues of today.
My question for you is, how can we take this document, which really calls for a new vision, a renewal of culture which takes seriously the environment, how can we make this document better known in our parishes? How can we engage our people? How can we call them forth to that kind of responsible stewardship, that love for the environment, which is so desperately needed? So the first of the themes is that human beings are created in the image. The Justice and Peace Commission was asked by the plenary of the Canadian bishops to produce a document on the environment, and we felt that it was useful to highlight in that document the recent statements of successive popes who have expressed a strong commitment towards the environment.
Things that we have to be aware of. So what time it is, it's a time to look at this world that God has created and how we are to be those protectors of and be in love with this creation as well. And the recent document that came from our Canadian Conference of Bishops, they've got 8 points in theirs. And it doesn't. John Paul II, 1990 article that he wrote on peace and care of creation. Pope Benedict was actually called the Green Pope, because he has put out the 10 Commandments in terms of ecology. Pope Francis himself talking about us being the protectors of creation. So, you know, they've all done the pieces there. The connecting, the bridging from what's being written to the people who need to hear it, there's some gap there. In light of the Earth Charter, well, that was produced in 1996.
We're very grateful for this body of papal teaching, and we hope that it becomes better known. And it's time for us as individual Catholics and as communities to come up to the plate and to really face these issues courageously and to be ready to take action. One simple thing we can do is attend to the prophetic voices in our own communities who are looking to the environment and its needs, who have engaged in rigorous study, who have over the long haul expressed deep concerns about environmental changes, and who show us some of the small steps which can be taken in our area, in our parishes, which help us to move in a direction towards a cultural renewal which will allow us to live in a new way in relation to the environment.
So part of what we're interested in is what drew you to study here at this time, and where do you want to take it?
Working on my master's thesis, and I came to the conviction that we cannot talk about social justice in isolation from ecological justice, and that will help me to articulate a position for the Catholic Church in Nigeria on issues of ecological justice.
Yeah, well, you're that.
How do we bring theology and ecology together? And how do we bring theology and ecology into dialogue with politics, with economics, with social structures, with healthcare, etc. If you're willing to do that, then the Elliott Allen Institute for Theology and Ecology is an excellent place for you to study.
The medicine wheel shows how things are connected with ourselves, with others, with the Creator, and with all of creation. So in that medicine wheel, there's...
As I went more into social Catholic teaching, and I got more deeply into First Nations spirituality, I began to learn that we are actually walking in relationship with creation. It's about we're related to everything in creation.
What is our relationship with this earth? We have a unique concept of land ownership which can be brought to bear, and it has everything to do with the concept of sharing and equivalency, if you will.
Next thing I knew, someone was asking me, would the sisters have a site for the community garden, because they couldn't find uncontaminated soil. And it has evolved from about 6 plots to now 70 plots. It's going to be 80 at the end of the year. And we have a wonderful partnership with the food bank for the county. So this is a huge overflow of the ministry, you know, connected with ecology, connected with theology and spirituality. We can't just talk about ecology. We have to learn to live it in this day and time. It's essential.
When it came to designing St. Gabriel's, really we knew we had to design sustainably.
We actually achieved LEED Gold. We are the first worship space in Canada to achieve that designation.
We knew we had to design a building that would be in and of itself a form of catechesis, but also be an opportunity for pedagogy, for teaching that to others.
What Scarborough's Justice and Peace Office tries to focus on is we look at where Scarborough missioners are serving overseas, and what is it that's going on here in the north that is impacting on where people are in the south, and what are some of those issues that we could be working on here. And what I do now...
One of the charisms at Scarborough today is working along the lines of ecology. When I was in Brazil, or working in Brazil, one of the big things there, one of the issues is the deforestation of the jungle. The burning and the clear cutting of the Amazon forest to raise cattle. And this is very controversial within Brazil.
In Malawi, in Africa, in the Andes, with the glaciers melting, even in the Amazon area, which is under threat of drying and turning into a savanna. You know, addressing our lifestyles and policies that have an impact on people in the global south. So ecological justice and climate change is the first priority. And I would say it's a faith issue for Christians everywhere.
It's a beautiful quote from Pope John Paul II, which states, "The proper ecological balance will not be found without directly addressing the structural forms of poverty that exist throughout the world." We do well to ask, who is hurting most as a result of this decision? Who is in greatest need as a result of a particular crisis? This document from the bishops invites the people of God to take seriously the environment, to truly take on our responsibility of being witness to a different way of living in relation to the environment, a way that's sustainable, a way that's life-giving for all people.